Hello and welcome. There's a couple of you joining now. It's great to have you here. So, hello and welcome. This is the second edition of our Tangem Team live AMA series. This is the second time we're doing this. We're very excited about it. We've got a wonderful guest for you today. And we've taken on board some of the comments that we have had from our last series, and you all decided that you wanted to have more of a technical focus for this AMA. So we are absolutely delighted to have a very technical AMA today for you. So we will be looking through a couple of things today, more of the how it's made, how it's done, the nuts and bolts of how actually Tangem is built and how it operates. So for today's section, we'll be looking through the technical aspects, so looking through closer details of how things work. Then we will be looking at some of our roadmap developments that we have made in the last month. We have heard your comments that you are all very excited to hear more of the details of what we're releasing, how integrations work, what app new features are coming. So we are very delighted to be able to share that with you today. And finally, of course, we'll be answering a lot of your community questions. First of all, we will be prioritizing the questions that all of you have sent to us in advance. But of course, we'll take a lot of your community questions from the YouTube live stream that we have right now. So if you have any burning questions and you didn't get the chance to answer them before, please feel free to leave them in the comments in the live stream right now. Now, as for myself, my name is Anna. I'm the community person in the chats that you see every single day, writing to all of your queries. And it's my very great pleasure to have you here today live again. And I'm really excited to have this session kick off. So without further ado, let's bring on our guest and have a wonderful session. Very excited to be here. And thank you so much for being. Brilliant. Let's bring him on. So we welcome our first guest, Denis Baturin. How are you today?
Hello, Anna. I'm fine. Nice to meet you all.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you're here. This is a very new format for us, so it's exciting, and I know. So a couple of you may know Denis from the Cardano Summit, and he was releasing the Tangem Ring. The first time that we kind of brought it out into the world, Denis was the person who mentioned it out to us. So a couple of you may know his face before. So this is going to be a very nice session to have him back here and talk about the technical details with us again. So give us an introduction to yourself. What's your background? How long have you been in Tangem? All the wonderful details.
Sure, Anna. So I'm Denis, and I'm Blockchain Analyst at Tangem. I work at Tangem for almost 6 years already. I came when it was just a small startup. I came as a system administrator, like tech support, something along those lines. And quite fast, I've started integrating blockchains into our Android app. And that's how it came to be for me to become a blockchain analyst. I usually analyze new blockchains to be added, maybe some new technologies. If something difficult comes up, I'm the one to research it and give a feedback on how to integrate it, or if we can to integrate it at all. And also I do smart contracts on Solidity for our upcoming Tangem Pay system. That's the thing that you will be able to pay at the usual Visa terminals. And I have done this smart contracts programming thing for quite a few years already as a freelancer as well. Now I'm trying to communicate a bit more with community, like I'm doing right now, or maybe like I have done at Cardano Summit. I believe I can explain some technical details better to our audience. So thank you for inviting me to this AMA session.
It's our pleasure. Absolutely. No, a couple of people have seen your face before from that video, and a couple of others that we have shared in community. So it's nice to put, a video to a live stream, and now we're able to actually share it out. So great to have you here. I think what we're going to start off on is we'll immediately kick into a series of I'll call it a presentation for lack of a better word, but it's more like the community questions that you guys sent in earlier. We've isolated a couple of them just to sort of narrate a story of how technically Tangem works. And then we'll dive into really strong questions that we bring up on screen, and then all of the other questions that come up, and including, of course, the roadmap. So are we ready? Should we kick it off? Presentation time?
Sure, let's go.
Brilliant. B-roll coming up. Great. Coming up. So let's start things off just by saying that this is our wonderful AMA. Let's start to look into the details. So describing the Tangem team. Can you give us some details on what the team look like? What is the development team and other of the related fields?
Sure. As I have told, I've joined Tangem very early, and it was like 5 people back then, maybe 6, working. Tangem has grown really rapidly, and I quite don't follow all. I don't know all the people in the team right now. Most of us are remote workers. So I will focus a bit on technical teams, which are a bit closer to me, and I can maybe tell something. So there are 2 teams for iOS and Android. We have native apps. There is a reason for that. We have a QA team to test and verify our code that we do. We have a full stack team that does some backend for merging some operations, like we needed for example, for Tangem Express, when we exchange currencies with different providers, we need to match our currencies with how they do them. So that's what full stack team does. They do website, they do backend, all that stuff. And we also have a separate Tangem Pay team that does develop this very interesting payment solution. So it's about it's 5 development teams, about 6-7 persons each. Also, we have something closely related to development. It's a product team, design team, and support team. They help us guide our new features and discover what our users want, design the UI and all the stuff for us, and answer to your collect your bugs, help our users to find the solution. They bring it to our development teams. We fix it, we roll it out, and that's only about like half of the full Tangem team. There are a lot of great persons working in other departments, like marketing, the beautiful people that brought me here today. Sales, operations, supply chain, everything is very important. But I can't dive too deep into that. There are a lot of complexities tied to our to what we're doing.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is that we have a very vast team that's looking into all of the details of how things are built. So it's good to just share that out to community again and just be able to know.
Like
there's a lot of us.
Almost 100 people, I guess, right now in Tangem.
Yeah.
That's
so big teams,
team.
and we're all here to help build. And this Denis here is just one person that we're inviting. We're going to be inviting more people coming forward. But let's jump forward to our next sort of slide and presentation. So let's look at how does Tangem integrate a new token/network? What's the process behind it? What does the implementation process look like? This is something that we have shared in a blog post before, but it's always good to have human contact to it, so to speak.
Yeah, sure. That's what I usually do. I've done it a lot. A lot of currencies that work on Tangem are written by me, at least the Android integration for it. Yeah. So first of all, I do a small research. is it something new? Is it a clone of existing blockchain with minor differences? Do they have documentation on how the signature happens? Is there enough APIs we can connect to? Is there some other caveats that can bring development, that can skyrocket development times? Yeah, so I evaluate it if we can integrate it, and how much time will it consume? Very vaguely, but still. After that, if it's okay, that's compared to the how much requested this blockchain this network is. Yeah. So for tokens that are on the blockchains we have integrated already, that's much easier. It's almost no-brainer. We see it like it's a regular token on this network. Yeah, let's add it. Then if it's new network and the demand is high enough for this complexity of integration, we proceed with the integration. There are some basic needs that we need to fulfill, like we want to derive the correct key to be compatible with other wallets. We need to calculate the address for this key. We need to get the data for this address to query the APIs. And with that data, we need to construct a transaction, sign it with a card, attach the signature from the card, and send it. So the main problem in this algorithm happens in the signature part, because many blockchain developers, even who do the extensive documentation and good SDKs for different environments, they still don't quite understand the problems of cold wallets. So it's quite often that you get a function in SDK like sign the transaction and you put key into it. But that's not possible with Tangem cards. So we often have to fork this SDK, make some changes into it to make it work with our cards, or even just write our own code ourselves, so we can detach signature creation from passing the key to the function. That's the big problem, and the documentation often doesn't cover the specific of how the transaction constructed, what is hashed. That's are usually not the details that get into the documentation. That's definitely not for a regular user, and even not for the hot wallet developers, because they are fine usually. Yeah, we have SDK, just push the private key into it, it will sign it to us, no worries. We cannot do that. And that's not the only problem. There can be some unexpected problems that should be probably get caught up on research, but that they don't do it regularly. So we had two complex blockchain integrations recently. One of them is Chia. It was very requested coin, but they have some weird things inside, like they, instead of just hashing the payload, you treat it like a Lisp program, which it is actually, and you do a binary hashing of each node. So there are unwanted complexities that add to development time. And the another case is even more recent. It was a Hedera integration, and there is a very weird concept with it that the address is not linked to the public key at all. and you need to create account. And there is some workaround, but it's not implemented in other wallets. So we had to develop the backend for it to create accounts. So a lot of weird stuff. I'm not sure on how technical our audience right now is, but yeah, it can even something very good with the extensive documentation can lead us to some major problems that are quite hard to resolve.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. In answer to how technical things are, I think a good caveat to put in here is something I should have mentioned in the beginning is that there is no such thing as too technical or not technical enough for the audience, meaning that one of our mission here at Tangem is, of course, to have things that are difficult made easy. That's part of what we do here. We provide a very simple solution to a lot of complicated backend things that we have to do. So, of course, also with the point of this technical AMA is that we will try to make things as easy as possible for you. But if you feel like you want more of a technical answer, we can get that to you if you would like. We're all about practicing openness and making sure that our community has answers to the questions that they want. But that's just a little caveat just to mention since you brought it up in the moment. But I think we can move on to the next slide, actually, since I think we've covered this question. I am moving my mouse in and out. It's something that, unfortunately, you guys can see. So do not be deterred. Oh, there we go. So looking at Tangem Express, what centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges do we plan to have on the horizon? How do we choose to have new partners, and what's coming up?
Okay, so first of all, I'm not too deep into Tangem Express. I haven't worked on that project, but I still have some insights. Like, first of all, when choosing the first providers for Tangem Express, we aimed at integrating something that will cover the most users' needs. So we looked for some that have most trading pairs, and also, of course, it has to be easy to integrate, and that also a major point in decision. And after that, once we have added major providers, next we will look into adding the providers that add the most value, like they cover the trading pairs that were not in our Tangem Express yet. Or maybe they provide trading pairs with better prices. So that's what we're looking for. We want for the new providers to add value for our service. And if the new provider will be providing the same pairs with the worst prices, then we probably don't need it. Yeah, and
providing diversity, I think that's the main point with this, that we want to have as many diverse options open for the community to make that decision for themselves, because Tangem Express is an interface for the services that these services do provide. So having different options is always a good idea.
I guess so, but it's even better if there are some options that have better value, better price, and if there are more options, the ones we didn't have. There is also a very important part in it, like we use centralized exchange providers, and we use Changely, and we use 1inch. But 1inch is only inside one network. We want to make decentralized exchange better. We want to combine decentralized exchanges with bridges, so you would be able to swap your currencies in a decentralized way without relying on some centralized providers. That's the big milestone we want to go to, and we're trying to achieve. We like decentralization in Tangem, so it would be a great deal if we could trustlessly swap assets between different chains easily. That's our goal.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what we stand for as well. It's part of what we do. We do want to give people options, and decentralized exchanges are a path towards that. So the more we bring it on, the better. So great. Okay, let's move on to the next question. How does Tangem decide what direction to take when bringing on new features and developments, particularly networks and tokens?
Okay, so basically we follow what our users, our community tells us. So we do polls, we collect any desires. Our support team is very helpful at that. They write down every request for a network in our chats, in Telegram and Discord, everywhere. I'm not sure even to what extent, how many communities we have. And after that, we have some table inside, like there are, here are the most requested cryptocurrencies networks that the people want to integrate. Here are the features that they want. And we take complexity into account on how long, how difficult will it be. And that's how we usually decide on what to integrate next. There are also cases when the blockchain developers, their community comes to us and they say, hey, we want your cards, we want co-branding, let's do it. And that's the other way how we can do it. If someone wants our co-branded cards, we start a poll, we start a pre-sale to determine like if there is enough interest in this exact network, in this project. If there's enough cards sold for the pre-sale, we launch this project, we make custom cards, and we integrate the network as well. For this user-centric approach we use, I have a very good example, because like there is one feature that we have added only because the users requested it, is the seed phrase support in Tangem Wallet 2.0. We don't want users to rely on seed phrases. We do think they're quite unsafe, and our solution is better, but the users requested it. It can ease the entry for some users. We did it. So that's how we do it in Tangem. We listen to our users and we do it and without regard for anything else, like except maybe the complexity, like.
Yeah, but you're leading up quite well to the next question. It's going to be a really natural transition from one question to another. Why is seedless wallet better to set up that way rather than with seed phrase? Talk us through it like we're five.
That's my favorite topic. I have discussed it a bit at some conferences. Like, the seed phrase is not a very good thing. Like, it's useful, and it's the only thing you can use in some scenarios. Like if you want to move your funds between different wallets, you have no other option. Basically, it's not an option to use just a private key, and it's even worse. So, but aside from that, seed phrase has too many flaws. So first of all, it's not very secure. You have your words written on a piece of paper, and anyone can read it. It's not protected by password or anything. I know about passphrase, but still, the basics are that it's very easy to steal. And the worst part of it is you won't ever know when it's stolen. So the attacker, the malicious person, he can steal your seed phrase, add it to his wallet, and just monitor it until you have the most funds, and then he will clear it up. So, and you, to secure it, you should put this piece of paper in a safe. It's not very easy for a general audience, I guess. not very convenient for me. They're also unreliable. Like the piece of paper is not very reliable medium for a long-term storage of information, right? The inks can go blank, like it can get wet. Something can happen with a piece of paper. I don't know. I've always encountered this problem, like that my very important piece of paper was just lying there on my desk and it's nowhere to be found. And you start asking your people around the house, hey, have you seen this piece of paper? Piece of paper is not good. It's not reliable. It can burn, it can wet, anything can go, can happen with that. And also it's very inconvenient. Like you have to write down these words and then you have to write it back up, at least part of them, to the application, or it won't allow you to continue. And as a developer, it's a big pain for me. I often want the wallet like to just send a couple of cents there, do some testing, and no, I have to deal with this pesky seed phrase, and it annoys me as hell. So yeah, it's not convenient either. I kind of see there are some ways you can mitigate some of the problems, like you can go with a passphrase, so you don't your seed phrase is not the only thing that decides your access to the wallet, but then you have to remember the passphrase, and you cannot reset it. Not very good. You can make it reliable at least with but you should buy a metal wallet. Have you heard of metal wallets? Like, it's a weird thing where you put your seed phrase letter by letter, and it's even less convenient, but at least you will make it reliable. So yeah, the point is the seed phrase is the weakest link in all your security, probably. And eliminating it is definitely a great idea. The only thing I could think of downsides of eliminating the seed is that case that you cannot transfer your funds to another wallet easily, your keys to another wallet. And that can lead us to our next question.
Ooh, it was very smooth. I liked it. All right. What if Tangem stops working? We have an apocalypse scenario. Can you run us through it?
Yeah. So yeah, that's the only reason why seed phrase may be good in your case. If you're very sure of what you're doing, you can use the seed phrase and it can be safe, and that will mitigate this scenario. But it's not that bad anyways. So if Tangem ceases to exist, like if we evaporate at one specific moment of time, at least as a company, you will still have your keys on your cards. The ownership of your funds is not relying on us. So you still own your funds, and you still have your app, Tangem App. You still have the app that was installed on your phone, and you still have, if you for some reason you have a new phone, there are still options. Like we have an APK compiled, lying in our GitHub, waiting for you to grab it and store it somewhere safe if you want, so you can anytime install it. If we can do the same on iOS for obvious reasons, of course, they don't allow it. But you can still see there are sources for those apps. You can fork it. If for some reason something happens, the app can be built. All our apps are open source. The only closed source parts of it are some API keys that we use to access some API providers. So it will definitely be possible to build a version of our app to work with your card to make it work again, because there are some things that may fail as well. Like you will see the message that the verification is failed, like that your card may be counterfeit because the Tangem verification servers are down, or you won't get the list of tokens to add, and you will have to add new tokens manually. But if the Tangem is that, you'll probably just want to take your funds away, and all tokens that you have already added, they are there. The biggest problem is some APIs may fail. Like we try to keep at least 2 APIs per network, and we really love the ones that are public from the network developers. Maybe it's very good with EVM networks because they often provide some good endpoint for MetaMask to connect, and they are usually free and shouldn't stop working. But in some cases, some currencies are more reliant on our infrastructure, like they maybe use, so Chia, for example, we have some paid service that will stop working eventually, and we have our own backend node because we had no other options. So that's the main thing that has to be solved. You will have to find an API and put it in our app. So, but as a developer myself, I don't really, it's not a problem for me. I will be able to grab my own currencies. I know how to build it. I know how it's done. And I think it will be an easy solution. There will be an easy solution for everyone, but I'm not thinking it's a realistic scenario. Tangem is feeling great, and we're not going to stop existing anywhere soon.
Yeah. I think what's important to know is that the type of audience that we are serving, we're very risk averse. So the fact that we do have an apocalypse scenario planned and ready to go, and we publicly do share it, it sort of provides a perspective in how we operate as a company. We understand our users, that you guys completely understand that you should trust, but always verify. So we do have this apocalypse scenario ready to go and available, how things are going to work on our blog. I'll share that into community channels after this AMA. Understandably not right now, but if you want to read it right now, you can find it on our blog just by searching for well, anywhere really, but you can find the apocalypse scenario in the title. So you'll be able to check it out if you really are intrigued and you want to understand more of how this works. But I think that's it for this part of the technical questions. We'll now be moving on to everybody's very exciting, very interesting part, which is looking at the roadmap. How do we feel talking about that? Is it time? I think we've built enough suspense to keep this going. And I think it's time to reveal. How do you feel? Ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Brilliant.
I hope the audience is ready as well. It should be very expected part of this stream.
Yeah, I can imagine now people flooding the comments and being quite excited about all the different developments that we do have planned for you guys. But Denis, run us through how you see this working and what are the new developments behind the scenes.
Okay, sure. I will guide you a bit through this roadmap. So, in the upcoming release, you should expect to find 4 new currencies. That's Algorand, Hedera, Aptos, and Shibarium. And there are much more currencies awaiting you, much more networks awaiting you in the next months. You can see it for yourself. I will better tell you about the features that we expect to add. So in the upcoming release, UI improvements are coming for the swap notifications. In the next releases, in the March, where you should expect additional. Okay, 1 second.
It may not be 100% clear in the live stream. You might not be able to read it. I can start running you through it though. We will be announcing more additional networks and tokens. By all means, this is not an exhaustive list. Things move and change as things go along. So there will be more announcements coming up. Yeah. Have you got the document pulled up, or do you want me to continue going on? Because I can go on.
Yeah. I'm ready. So there will be a new managed token design, send screen redesign. The support for 24-word seed phrases, the support for seed phrases passphrase. The transaction history for Tron is coming, and we'll introduce additional languages in our app. For the further plans, in April, May, you should expect additional more tokens and networks, of course. Staking is probably coming in April, May. I'm working on staking as well, and it's looking good. Multi-accounts, we are going to introduce. It's the feature to making different accounts for the same currency. If you want to keep your finances separate, or you kind of want to do something with a bit more privacy, that's the highly requested feature. We are going to add the detailed information on tokens with the price chart and something along those lines. The better information for traders, I guess. And there is also WalletConnect support for Solana incoming. That was a highly requested feature as well. I guess I tell this. Yeah, I tell this about features I've heard being requested, but as we are user driven in our approach, so all of them, or at least most of them, should be highly requested, I guess.
Yeah, but I'm excited that we're bringing forward the 20-word seed phrase support and passphrases, and of course, like multi-accounts. That's been 100%. Like I see it daily in the chats, and it's finally good to get. We have a very active user in our Discord who messages us every single day with a new meme about when is WalletConnect Solana coming, and we're very happy to say it's coming at a very specific time. So now we're able to share that, and it's nice to be able to have this format to be able to communicate it out. So. We'll be sharing this into community as a social doc, I think after the AMA. But there we go.
Wow.
Now you have a roadmap.
Technical questions are the best questions. Product questions are not my favorite.
They're not our area of expertise.
I'm not always ready to answer them.
But the thing with the AMA is that we're going to be announcing new updates every session. So what we can provide, this is being provided to us by relevant department heads, right? But we can comment on it, and then of course we'll provide more details as we do the social posts and update you in a bit more formal manner, so to speak. So, but for now, there you go. Very happy to announce that we've got all of these assets coming very, very soon. And in which case, we're wrapping up for this part. Do not worry, do not leave. We're not wrapping up completely. We're just moving on to our next section with the community live questions. We're going to be running through the questions that we already had prepared in advance by users who message them into all of our community channels. We have a wonderful special Discord place where you can leave it, AMA with community. You can drop any question there. If we don't cover it today, then we'll cover it another session and so on. But we will be looking at those first, and then we will also take, since we do have enough time, I think, we'll take some questions live from the live stream. So if you have a burning question, please leave it down in the YouTube live section. I don't know how the UI works, but you can figure it out. Leave a comment. We will get to it. I'll put it up on the screen. Bear in mind, though, when we put it up on the screen, we do see your photos. So we won't pick anything that is not 100% clear and PG-13. So that's great. Right. Shall we go to community questions in which case?
For sure. Let's go.
Great. I've got a wonderful little banner. You will love it. Let's go. think every single time that we do this and I run through this as a practice, I'm just always very impressed with all the little functionalities that the live stream can offer. But okay, let's run through some of the questions. I can bring this up on the screen. So what strategies does Tangem employ to ensure compatibility with various smartphone models and operating systems? Considering the diverse landscape of mobile devices, this may be something to keep in mind.
Oh, that's a good question. First of all, the landscape is kind of diverse. Actually, it's only 2 operating systems. So it's iOS and Android. With iOS, it's a bit simpler on device side. Like there is a limited number of devices, so it's quite easily to own them all to test it. Like we usually have the newest iPhone to test. We have actually the vast array of devices with different resolutions and display form factors to test on. Yeah, so it's actually, so it's not that big of a deal. We have 2 development teams developing for 2 platforms, and the biggest problem that can come up with that. So if we're not doing multi-platform app, we eliminate some problems with that. But there is a reason is that our app has to work with NFC, and that's where the main caveats come. So the modules on different smartphones are quite different, and that's where some problems may arise. Like, for example, one of the older iPhones, they had very strict limitation on the size of a package you can send through NFC, and it was not like a limitation of the standard. It was very weird, and we couldn't make it work properly with anything. Like maybe something was working. I'm not really sure, but we had the big problems. It was iPhone 6, I guess. That age, it was really far away long ago. So there is also some strange limitation on Apple devices, like with the session timeout. So you can keep the session with the NFC with the card open for too long. So there can be some things, and with Android there are multitude of different devices with different modules, and usually they work great. It can happen at some point that some weird device has very weird NFC module that won't work with our cards. We try to mitigate it, and we have some workarounds deployed. But with Android, it can happen. We can test every single device. But usually it doesn't. We just work with everything. It's not a big deal for us now when we learned how to mitigate the problems we had at some points. But yeah, it still can, if you have an obscure phone, like something really weird on an Android, then maybe it potentially could happen that your Tangem card won't be read with your NFC reader. But it's not common. It's very unlikely, I'd say.
Another second thing that you could always do is you can always reach out to the team at support and double check things either before purchase, or if you're considering a new purchase, there's nothing stopping you from reaching out and just double checking just in case. There's also, this information is available online, but that is also a way that you could reach out to support and just double check, just to have that peace of mind before you buy your Tangem cards. But all major models support it, of course. But if you have a very niche phone that you're considering, then that's always an avenue that you could take. Great. All right. I think we've covered that one. Let's go to the next one. So how does Tangem navigate regulatory landscapes in different countries to ensure compliance while promoting the mass adoption of blockchain technology?
it's a bit like a previous question. Like it seems kind of hard, but not really. But this time it's really easy. We don't provide cryptocurrency exchange services, nor do we hold your cryptocurrency. We don't collect personal data. We just don't fall under the regulations in the countries we operate in. So that's very easy. These cryptocurrency exchange services or fiat on-ramp services, they are provided by our partners, which handle the compliance on their side. So if you want to swap with a centralized exchange or buy or sell some crypto for your fiat currencies, you will find that you will have to go through KYC and all this stuff. We don't really care. We integrate them and they do it on their side.
Got it. Okay. Moving forward, we've got a lot of things to cover. Tangem solutions offer multi-support for thousands of tokens by a single wallet. Can you provide insights on how Tangem manages to achieve this level of compatibility and versatility?
Of course, first of all, I would like to point out that we have a great development team, and there's quite a lot of people. We work hard to make it happen. So if we are talking about tokens, then it's not a problem to add more tokens for the existing networks. And even if we find out that we have these tokens standard integrated, we can just proceed and integrate it just without releasing our app. We can add this new token to our backend, and it will be shown to you when you try to add a new one. And if we are talking for currencies, I guess there is a lot to work on. Also, there are quite a lot of different protocols we can add, and that's one of the points our users always tell, like, we want this protocol. That's one of the main requests. So we want to streamline the addition of the similar cryptocurrencies. Like a lot of networks are EVM based and quite easy to add, but actually it's not that easy. It's not as easy as in adding your network to your MetaMask, but we want to streamline it and bring more EVM blockchains or other similar blockchains that are basically clones of each other faster. We are working on it, and hope we will put new currencies much faster soon.
Got it. All right, let's move on to the next one. Could you provide insight into the development process behind the Tangem app, including any user testing or feedback incorporated into its design? I think we've covered this a little bit, but we do want to get through every single question to make sure that you do get your questions. So please.
Okay, so yeah, for sure. We, as I have already said, our approach is user-driven, and we do connect the desires of our users. We make polls on what to integrate next. That's the main goal, to make our users happy. If you want some insights into how we develop, I don't know, I can tell you maybe that our app actually consists of 3 parts. So there is a card SDK that allows to work with the card, make it sign signature, do some signatures, sign data, store some data, give you public keys. So this thing. There is also blockchain SDK. I work mostly on this one, and it's about connecting the card to the blockchains. Like how do we get the address for this blockchain, how do we make signatures, what to send to the card, and how to process the information, the signatures from the card, that part. And the app itself, where all the UI and the services integrations lie. That's the bigger part that combines everything together. Yeah. There is also one thing I forgot to mention about like the user feedback is that we actually have beta testing. We have some beta testing channels that we add some of our users in, and they can get access to new features earlier and test them out, of course. So the main point of this beta tester channel is not to distribute an early version, is to get some feedback. We really want for our users to be our testers as well.
Yeah, I think there is something we were planning to make some sort of small announcement about, how to get into this mysterious beta group, but the most important thing is, yes, of course, it's not just you get things faster than anybody else. It comes with some requirements, which is that, of course, we do expect to have feedback from your side about how it works. So more details on that when it does become available. All right, next question. dApps have been hacked and allowed access into other devices and wallets. So since Tangem is so secure, doesn't that introduce a vulnerability by adding them?
Okay, so dApps in itself can be hacked, but the dApps that we have integrated, like some exchanges, the decentralized exchanges, are pretty safe to operate. We take all the precautions. We add allowance only for this token, only for you exchanging, only for the sum you are going to exchange. So it's very secure. But there is a method to connect to any dApps. It's, of course, WalletConnect, and it can introduce some vulnerability, not by itself, but like there are two sides of the potential attacks that can be explored, like smart contract attacks and web app attacks. So smart contracts vulnerabilities can be exploited on blockchain, and it's mostly about some of your tokens being stolen by the protocol, and this vulnerability is still an option even if you don't connect to dApps. Like if you use tokens are smart contracts themselves. So maybe there can be a vulnerability in smart contract that operates your token, and this token can be stolen from you just because of that, even without connecting to the apps. So yeah, it doesn't open a lot of more possibilities to be stolen. The bigger part is web app side compatibility. So yeah, the web app, the dApp, will ask you to sign some transactions, and if someone gets access to it, it can ask you to sign malicious transactions instead. I've heard about situations when something like that happened, not with our users, but with users of the different wallet. And the thing is that you probably shouldn't sign the transactions that the transaction that haven't been originated from you. So if you haven't pressed any button and you see some transaction in WalletConnect, it's probably malicious. Otherwise, you should probably check what contract you're interacting with. We aim to add more data on the WalletConnect when it requests some transaction signing, so we can add some more details. Yeah, so be careful. It doesn't introduce vulnerability. Like if you connect to the app, you don't lose your money, but they can make you do something malicious. And if you interact with some exchange, you give allowance for some of your tokens. Try to give allowance for the sum you're going to spend. If you're given an allowance, if you want to trade a lot of with this token, with this exchange, with this pair, you can give an allowance. But if you're uneasy, if you don't keep track of your allowances, there are some services I've heard, like Revoke. One of them is called Revoke, that look for your allowances in the network, and they can make a transaction that will transactions for all the contracts, all the tokens that you own, and have allowances enabled to disable it, to protect your funds from the smart contracts hacks, which are not an often occurrence, I guess. More things happen from the app side. At least it seems to me like that.
Got it. I think that's a good answer. We do make sure that everything is safe before implementing things. So I think community should be happy with that. I'm a little bit conscious of time, guys, but we want to get through as much as possible. So Denis, if you're okay, I think we just need to go through as many as possible. We've got so many good questions. That would be such a shame to not utilize your talent as much as possible. And I think I'm seeing the comments that you guys are asking for to cover things as much as possible. So let's keep this going, shall we? Can you explain the significance of the signature algorithm in determining whether a blockchain network can be integrated into Tangem Wallet?
Okay, that's an easy one. Our card's firmware is not upgradable, and if the older card cannot do signatures on some curve, we cannot add the support for this blockchain that uses this curve and not any others, like at all. Like we have to support. We except that, like it's not only has to support, the card has not only to support this algorithm, but it has to have the key for this algorithm. So on the initial phase, when you activate your Tangem and do backups to other cards, it has to be created at that step and transferred to one or two other cards. So it happened once, so we had support for algorithm already, but we haven't tested it yet, and on the creation, this key hadn't been created for users that use it. And we have integrated Chia, and the older users weren't able to use it until they move their funds out and factory reset their wallet, created newly, because they hadn't the keys. The Chia uses some weird signature scheme. It's not as weird, but it's not the two most common as well. So yeah, that was the problem. So but basically, when I integrate the network, I always look for the signature schemes first, because if we don't do it on the current card, but then we're probably not taking it. So we cover most of the elliptic curve schemes that are used for signatures right now. But maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there are some problems. There are actually, with the signatures, there are some complex protocols, like something with the zero knowledge proof, or maybe Lightning. That's also one of the features that is requested, but we are not planning to add it, because there are some problems with the whole model of how it works and how our card operates. So with Lightning, to receive any funds or send, you need to make multiple signatures in a row to agree on the new state, and it just doesn't work with the card well. It's better suited for the hot wallet when it can make signatures when requested. Yeah, so that about covers the signature algorithm question.
Got it. Okay. Let's move on to this next one. Once a wallet has been hacked via a fake dApp, there's a misspelling of the word dApp, via a fake dApp, where the user connected via WalletConnect, does that compromise the entire wallet? How can Tangem help with recovery of funds of those?
It's quite alike the previous questions with the question with the dApps. That this one focuses on WalletConnect. I covered it a lot. So with the WalletConnect connection, you don't compromise anything. It's just a connection between the dApp and your wallet app that allows the app to send you signature requests. So the connection itself has no way to ruin, to steal your funds. It's just a means of communication between the app and your wallet. So, but yeah, they can. The apps can probably send you malicious transaction requests, and you shouldn't sign it. And you probably should check what you're signing, and that's what we want to improve. We want to add some more features, details on the signature request, like we do now for transaction history. So yeah, just be careful, do your own research. Connection itself doesn't hurt you, and the part is about how can we help with recovery. We can help. You can go to support always. You can always go to support, and we can help you investigate what happened. Where did your funds go? If they are stolen, we are some hack, we probably want to be able to help you recover them. Yeah, but we can still provide you with some intelligence on how it happened. Maybe you could go some legal way to retrieve it. There are actually some companies that do a living on tracking the funds that were stolen, and if it's a lot of funds, then probably if something can be done with them.
But either way, we want to know it. If something is going on and you think that there's something that we should at least take a look into, we do have the technical team in support to be able to have a look and figure it out for you and provide you with some details, closure, whatever you want to call it. But we definitely send it through to us. We'll have a quick look at it anytime. Great. All right. We have one more question before we get to a very interesting part. We have after this question, but we have a user in our Discord who is very technical, and we're a big fan of his technical expertise, but he's asking very good questions. But before we get to those, we've got one final question. I'd like to know, how does the Tangem team think about eventually incorporating an interface for non-mobile devices in the future? So, i.e. a Tangem app for desktop that works the same way on mobile. I would imagine it needing to have NFC. Is there a requirement having NFC readers that would be able to be connected to their desktop and scanned with the card? Thoughts? That's the full question phrasing.
Yeah. So we have explored this possibility at some point. Like, we used this desktop readers ourselves. We have tested it a bit. It's definitely not a thing for mainstream audience. Like, you have to buy a separate device to use your Tangem card on your PC. It's a bit weird, I guess. It's not for the mainstream, but we had some partner exploring this possibility for some other use case than the general use of our cards than the wallet. So maybe someone will bring some solution for big corporate guys. I don't know why it may be needed. There are actually some more problems, like NFC readers for the PC are not very reliable. Average phone does way better. We had much more problems with them trying to run them than any phone, but basically that's not broken. Yeah. So I don't see it as something that will do, at least soon. I have an idea. I know, like there are some cases where you might want the desktop experience. I guess it's mostly some dApps that are built with MetaMask in mind, with this in browser extension way that don't have WalletConnect. I'm not sure how many of them are there, but I found something like that you couldn't do without the MetaMask or similar extensions done. So I think maybe a great idea would be to make an extension that will allow bring this extension interface to the dApp and will connect to Tangem Wallet with WalletConnect, like always. It seems like a fine thing to me. Maybe it's a good idea to implement. Tell you in your comments.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main things. If you guys ask for it and there's overwhelming demand, much more than all the other features that we've mentioned before with the roadmap, then of course we can look into this more. It's just like Dennis mentioned before, it is just a choice that we went for just because it was a lot easier to implement and it was safer and more secure that way and more predictable. But if you do have this overwhelming desire for a desktop app and the release of a reader and so on, make sure that you leave that in the community channels and we'll try and get to it with a comment in due time. Right. Next sections, like I promised, we have a wonderful user called Andy. He's always in the chats. We're big fans. He's in the past, he's left wonderful memes, creations, but he's one of those people that he's brilliant with his questions, and I want to get through them as much as possible. And if we don't get through all of them, we promise we've got them all written down. We're going to be able to provide them to you, of course. But I think this will be a very interesting couple of questions for a very technical audience. Now, I will also do my very best to try and read this all out loud. If I mess anything up, please understand this is not my area of expertise, but I will try my very best. Right, I have called them technical questions instead of just questions, but when will Tangem implement full Bitcoin support, including features like multiple Bitcoin addresses replaced by fee, child pays for parent, and a manual fee adjustment option in expert mode?
Okay, we are not quite aiming for the explicitly full Bitcoin support. Some of the features are coming in some way or another for more currencies. So like we are going to allow different accounts for Bitcoin and for other currencies. So it's maybe not what you expect, like not different address every time you receive currency. It will be universal for every currencies. You can have a different account if you want to separate your funds. RBF is replaced by fee. It's pushing the stock transactions. It's probably coming. I think it's in the plans somewhere. It's kind of a problem in Bitcoin if you manage to send a transaction with a low fee, and then there is a high user wave like that raises fee to the skies. So it's unlikely that your transaction will happen anytime soon. It's a problem where we want to implement it. It's not highly requested, but it's somewhere in the plans. Fee adjustment option is also in our plans. And again, it's not Bitcoin exclusive. We want to make those features for all of the currencies that needed.
Got it. Okay, let's move on to our next question. When will Tangem introduce an optional passphrase feature with enhanced security and plausible deniability, allowing for multiple secret wallets within with additional passwords?
Okay, I believe the passphrase, the first passphrase for word is not connected to the seed phrase, passphrase. It's a password in our app, I guess. So there are no plans for such a feature right now. It's actually a very interesting thing. I guess I'll explain in 2 words what is it about. So just imagine you have a Tangem app, you open it, you need to input the password. Let's assume you have your biometrics disabled. Yeah, so, and you can enter one password and get to one environment and show something. But you can enter another password and get to another environment. And that's the real deal. If someone knows that you have crypto, someone knows that it's wallet, and he start torturing you and hey, give your password, and you can give the wrong password, the one that leads to the environment with the less funds. So it's a very specific feature. I guess if you really want it, again, please share it in comments. But it's quite obscure. I'm not sure if we can easily implement it with our current cards, but who knows?
Got it. All right, let's move on. When will Tangem support 24-word mnemonic phrase for improved security?
Okay, I'm not sure that this will increase security. Like, I'm not too much into the security, but there is something like, at least for Bitcoin Curve, its private key have the same entropy as a short seed phrase. So I don't really buy the increased security for more words. I really buy the decreased convenience. I don't like it. I don't want 24 words. And if okay, if it's an option, but if it's the default variant, I don't think it's good. But we already support the input of 24 words. So if you create it somewhere else, and you can import your 24 words wallet into the Tangem. And we are planning to add the generation of this long mnemonic soon. So keep an eye.
Great. Moving on. When can users expect the ability to specify custom RPC nodes in expert mode, crucial for scenarios like internet restrictions between countries?
Okay, I'd say it's even it's a bit more crucial, like an apocalypse scenario, but it's not an easy feature to add. We have different providers that have very different APIs. Maybe if we implement it, it could be like very partial for some currencies. Maybe it's not a good way. It's not requested a lot. It's not in plans right now. So if you find it very useful, please share it with us. It's not in plans right now.
Got it. I think the next one is also a little bit of a quick question. When will Tangem provide full support for the Cosmos ecosystem, including tokens and staking for top Cosmos tokens as listed on CoinGecko?
Okay. I haven't heard about anything in plans of token support, or maybe I don't know what else. But the one of the features is coming. The staking is on its way. We are making the staking right now, and Cosmos is one of the highly requested currencies for staking, and it will be implemented for Cosmos. That's
All right.
the only point I can make you happy about.
Well, that's already a good point. It means that it's coming. We've listened to this is coming. It's in the works.
Yeah.
Rome wasn't built in a day, but we are providing as much support as we possibly can as quickly as possible. There's also the next section of these questions. I do like these so much, but this is the future of Tangem and all the questions related to that. So, is there a plan for Tangem Card and Tangem Ring to support 2FA with the following very technical details, further enhancing secure authentication methods?
It's about using your card as a 2FA method, like you can verify with a card instead of using your Google Authenticator or something. We have actually used it. We tried it on our older cards, Tangem Notes. We explored this possibility, and back at the time, it had very limited adoption. And the bigger problem is that since then we have moved on to Tangem Wallet, and it has 3 cards. These keys they cannot be copied. They don't. I'm not sure if it's a technical limitation or it's kind of a protocol thing, but you cannot make 3 copies of the same key, and that makes our cards, if we use 1 for key, not equal. So you can use 1 card, but not the other card from the same wallet. It's not very good. It doesn't align with our product, and that's why we don't plan to integrate it right now. Again, adoption is probably better than then, but it's probably not enough for us to push through it. And again, we don't know how to properly communicate this. Like, you have this card, but the key is only here. It's a mess. So
yeah,
we don't want to get into it.
It's a completely different type of product, so I understand where you're coming from. It's a completely different playing field. We deal with asset management. So, all right, moving on. We have covered this before in different AMAs and in the comments, but this we should get your professional opinion. Will Tangem consider integrating a bending LCD display powered by NFC for at least just visual transaction confirmation on Tangem Card and Ring?
I like this question. I don't like the idea of the display, but the question is very great and brings me to speak on one of the very interesting topics. So I can't envision. I'm not a hardware guy. I'm on the software side, but I can't imagine any display working from the NFC alone. So and even so, you need a battery. And let's imagine that we need to place it somewhere. It's not 2 layers of plastic and the chip between with antennas. It's more complex construction. It has to be like something encased in plastic, right? Like a card encased in plastic with the display, and actually probably a battery, and then you have to charge it. It's a very different product what we get. And the main thing, I don't think it's needed. So the idea of the display is to show you transaction details before you sign it. And first of all, there can be some problems with it. So our firmware is not updatable, which is very good point of security. Again, after some things happened with other wallets, that this security update, the firmware update, can bring in some breach for to the card, which we don't want to, because of that, the firmware on the card cannot be updated. And how in this scenario can we expect to show the transaction details for networks? There is no way. There's just no way to add it. Also, for the SecP signatures, the curve that Bitcoin uses, we usually transfer only the hashes to the card. It allows us for smaller payloads, faster times. It's quite important. And you cannot get anything from the hash. You should send the whole payload, then hash it inside the card. So it's not working really great, but again, it's not needed because for the wallets that you use some Bluetooth to connect to, or maybe USB, there is an actual possibility of a man-in-the-middle attack or other app on your device getting an access to that USB stick. So there are some possibilities. With our approach, I don't see real vulnerabilities. So when it's way easier on iPhone, but I'll talk more about Android. There are quite more possibilities for attack. Not real, but and I know it better. So the thing is, when you should use only official Tangem app, and you probably cannot miss it. If you're hesitant, you can just tap your card without to your phone without the app installed, and it will lead you to our store page for our app. So our app, when the app interacts with the NFC module, it gains an exclusive access to it, and this module won't be able to take commands from any other app. Again, and you will see the update on our app, like what happens that the signature happens, that your card is scanned. So it seems impossible. I cannot conclude that it's really impossible, but it seems impossible for me to connect to your card without your knowing, mitigating our app on the software level. And if you're talking about the man in the middle, like transmitting waves, and it's a near field communication, you have to be right there close. You don't expect someone to put some device intercepting your commands and giving other between your phone and the card. It's basically non-viable. So I believe that the display is not needed at all, and it's a feature that will make our product worse.
Good answer. I love hearing technical answers to common questions that we see, and then I tend to give answers that are not as intense and amazing as you are. So that's really great to have. Thank you. But moving on to next questions, I'm trying to run through them as fast as possible, but they're just so much fun. I don't want to miss a single one out. This is a section by the same user called Hacker Questions, aka Trust but Verify. So let's run through that. Are there plans for Tangem cards chip firmware to become open source following secure independent audits to further enhance transparency and trust?
So first of all, it doesn't make any sense economically. The chip is publicly available to buy. So if we make our firmware open source, it will be very easy to make another Tangem wallet, and even worse, it will be really easy to make a counterfeit Tangem wallet that will steal your funds when it's needed. So by not disclosing it, we are not only protecting our intellectual property and our income, we're also protecting our users, because otherwise they would have an actual opportunity to be scammed with some counterfeit devices. Yeah. I think audits are a good enough way to know that there are no backdoors in it. I think we wanted to implement a way to make it more visible for the users that the exact firmware they were using is audited. I'm not sure where it went, but yeah, so maybe we should go that way and make obvious to the users that the firmware they are using is audited, but making it open source, that doesn't really work for us.
Got it. All right. Furthering on this wonderful theme, how does Tangem ensure that the true random number generator in its chips generates truly random numbers, which are crucial for protection? So is there a way for users to verify this?
True random number generator on our cards is a part of our chip. It's highest security. It has highest security evaluation score. It's a very secure part. So if we make any adjustments to it, like make some verifiable nonce, I've heard about such mechanisms. It will require us to write our own code that will make these numbers, and it can have a possibility of a bug. It won't have this highest security evaluation level. So with making this verifiable nonce, or maybe any other system, we will just downgrade our security. And again, there are security audits to verify if that we haven't made something wrong, that we haven't mess up and make it not really random. Though it's really hard. It's just an internal function of a chip.
Got it. All right, moving on. Could you provide information on the maximum data size that the Tangem card's chip can sign/process, addressing concerns about consolidation and potential fund lockup?
Okay. I haven't known this before I prepared to this question. I asked our card OS developer that he answered me that the can process payloads up to about 1 kilobyte in size, but that's not much, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to make it in one go. So it's usually done in smaller parts. And the card is not the limiting part here. So different operating systems set different limits. Readers have their limits. There was some problems with the long instructions that some readers weren't processing well. Yeah, as I already mentioned, there was like some timeout on iOS for these card interaction sessions, and we needed to work around it. We make multiple sessions. The app stores already signed transaction. It can continue from the middle. It is just way better. So actually, card can make infinite signatures. The only consideration is time. So it takes some time to produce even one signature. Like maybe it can process like 10 signatures a second or something like that along those numbers. So if there are some blockchains that can have a really big amount of unspent transactions, it's almost exclusively a miner thing. Like when you get your coins, buy some at some points, get something sent to you. It's usually not too much of this unspent transaction outputs, UTXOs. But if you are a miner and you constantly get rewarded with these blocks, or maybe you're like a shopkeeper and the people pay you with Bitcoin with the small amounts, then maybe it can arise. So that there are quite a lot of unspent transaction outputs to spend, and each one requires a signature, and that brings that can bring a time needed to send a transaction to quite high. But that's not a very big problem. I have a hack for you. You don't have to hold your card against the phone. I have done a lot of signing on Tangem cards and the development process. You can put a card on the table and put a phone on top. And with this way, you can wait a whole minute or a couple easily to send those transactions. Again, that's corner cases, not for everybody, but it can happen. And software-wise, we are ready. There was also this question I've only encountered in case of our users, encountering that there is some blockchain called Caspa, and it produces really a lot of outputs to their miners. We have their miner community using our cards, and the bigger problem is not about that it's signing too long. That the main problem is that it cannot spend, so it's a blockchain limitations. You cannot spend like more than the number of, the exact number of outputs. It's like around 100. And we don't have a flow for that. The good flow, it's actually hard to imagine good user flow for that. So yeah, the problem, these limitations are anywhere but the card. And maybe for such currencies events, if they happen more, we can add some consolidation feature that you will tap and it will send the money to yourself. You will leave it with your phone and it will consolidate your outputs to make it easier to send next time you want to send. Something can be done and not a big problem. And the card is not a problem at all here.
Got it. All right. I've got one last technical question. And then, of course, I can see people are in the comments and they're going, where's my questions? Because they are popping up right now in the YouTube. Don't worry, we haven't forgotten about you. We're just getting there a little bit with more technical details because, of course, nobody wants to quickly rush through things just because time. And then we won't be able to get Denis back on the show for a long time. So let's use every opportunity we can to get as much technical details as possible. So can you confirm the necessity of being online for initializing Tangem cards due to the requirement for verifying the issuer certificate? So it tries to obtain the certification to verify. I'm trying to read off from the short version that I have here, not the long version. Can you confirm the necessity of being online for initializing Tangem cards?
Yeah, so the idea is, first of all, I want to state that you can create your private keys, generate your private key offline. This requirement of being online comes up when you back up your private key to the other cards. So the problem is that if you are going seedless, we really don't want this key to ever leave the Tangem cards. If you're going seedless, we have 100% confidence that your key will never be stolen, that some attacker will never possess your key. It's a very distinctive feature that we want to keep. And if for some reason, if we skip this online thing, we won't be able to verify that the card will be issuing, will be encoding the private key and sending it to the other card. It can be sent to some mock of a card, and then the private key can leak, and we can have problems with that. We won't be sure that the keys are on the card. So the idea is that the card, it has a issuer public key. in itself. It knows who issued it. And when you want to copy the key, the private key of for your cryptocurrency to the other cards on the backup stage, it goes to the issuer service and says, "Hey, please sign me the public key of those cards, so I can safely encrypt and give my private key to them." So it's absolutely necessary. I'm pretty sure it can be even fixed with an app update. It should be on the card level, but yeah, it's the safety mechanism that works on us in terms that if you go seedless, we are absolutely sure that your keys stay on the Tangem card and never will never ever appear anywhere else.
Yeah, got it. Well, that's a good answer. I mean, we've given something similar in the community before, but it's nice to hear a good perspective. I've never thought about it in terms of well, yeah, because it's seedless. That's why it's extra important. So brilliant to have that answer. But let's run through some of the YouTube questions. I've seen a user being he's been asking all throughout this entire session, please, let's get your explanation for something. So let's just run through that right now. Could Denis please explain how the Tangem apps works independently of Tangem servers? So for example, if Tangem servers go down, how does the app still allow you to send, receive crypto from technical?
Okay, so Tangem servers are again usually only for some extra features like getting the list of tokens, verifying the card, so it's 100% authentic, or making a backup, so to allow the card to share its private key with the other cards. But the core features are not reliant on our servers. So I guess the non-network features like calculating address, making a signature are obvious. You can do it. It's not reliant on service at all. So the bigger problem is APIs. So you should connect to the blockchain network you are using. You should get your balance. You should propagate your transaction to them. So the app will have to have some connection to the blockchain. And in 99% of the cases, it's some public server, or at least it's an API that we use, like some bigger service providers, node providers that allow you to connect to dozens of different blockchains. So I've already covered. So you don't need Tangem servers for that, but you need an API. If there is public API provided by the blockchain developers or foundation keeping it alive, that's great. It's already there. You will be able to connect it until it dies out. If there is only API we are paying for, that will eventually go down. But it's not our servers, and it will still keep working for some time until the funds go out, the request limit is breached, so on. So if our servers go down for some limited period of time, probably it won't affect you at all.
Got it. All right. Let's run through some of the other questions. If I seem distracted, I'm looking through all your comments right now and seeing what pops out at me. We won't be able to cover everything, unfortunately, but let's cover a few just before we head off. Will Tangem ever come out with a coin or a stable coin? This is an unusual question, but something that does come up from time to time. Wouldn't this help with coins that don't have a natural stable coin pairing for swapping? If we could get your take on this. I know where you're going to take this.
I'm not quite. I don't quite understand how it will have help some coins because they have natural stable coin pair. what's natural. Why can't you make a pair with the stable coin already present? So stable coins are a very different business. You need to make some way to make your fiat into a stable coin and back. It's basically financial stuff. It's not something we are going into, so it's very, very different. Maybe a regular coin would make more sense than a stable coin, but again, we don't have like smart contract ecosystems. I'm not sure what will it represent, what can be idea behind it. I believe we won't be doing anything like this because we don't see how can there be some utility for it. Launching tokens just for investment hype, I don't know. I don't think it's our way. We're doing great without it. We have our investors, we have our community, and everything is going great. We don't want to create meaningless coin, and we have yet to find a meaning in creating it.
Everything needs to have utility. All right. I think these next couple are more like comments, but it's still important to get your take on it. Is a computer less private than your phone, less secure? This is, I think, in context with whether we potentially would do alternative connections, not just through phone.
Okay. Yeah. I guess I would say that it's to some degree a computer is less secure. It's probably a better thing to go by operating system basis. Like, sure, Android seems more secure than the Windows PC, but and the iOS is definitely more secure than Windows PC. But is Android more secure than macOS? They have very extensive security features of managing keys. I'm not sure. I'm not a security specialist. I think it depends. And in regard to this thing, hot wallet is not secure. Either you have it on your phone or on your browser extension. It's still on the device that connected to the internet. The possibilities are limitless to steal your key. I'm not saying it's easy in any way, but the real difference is the cold storage. Or I guess there are some other options, like use your offline computer and connect only air-gapped. Like, yeah, there are some ways to handle it for geeks, and computer can be even more secure than a phone. So, but if it tackles the security well, it will be quite complicated, and that's where we manage to keep it secure and still keep it simple without extra movements.
Got it. All right. The next couple, some of these I can see that they're more of product requests and token requests and so on. If you drop them down for us in the Discord, in the Telegram, in support channels, anywhere possible, we would be able to look at them from there as well. And same for features such as what I'm seeing right now. Can you show profit, losses, P&L, everything in that sort of trajectory? Like we mentioned with our roadmap, you may not have seen it before, but that is something that will be coming as part of the further announcements coming up, as in the developments closer to April and May. But those announcements will be made relatively soon. So I think most questions of that manner have been covered already. One of the other questions that we do have left, this is from the community this morning. So this is just the last couple of views just to wrap up for the evening or the morning. Hello, New York. So what happens to code being pushed towards the Tangem repo? Let's say I fork it and code some extra functionality and then go do a push. Does it actually get reviewed if it's good, and does it actually get merged?
We haven't actually encountered such a situation. People don't usually push some code changes for free. Maybe if there's that's a tool they use, then maybe. I guess if it's a good pull request, we will review it and incorporate it. We will merge it. If it's good enough, we are great. We are ready to accept your free work. Thank you very much. Please do it.
It's a good way to put it. Technically, yes, but then it's free. In which case, we actually have a careers page on our website. Please, let's go find us, and then we could maybe collaborate that way instead of doing it for free via all the other channels. And okay, one last final question just before we wrap up for the evening or the morning. Hello, New York again. So asset prices have been volatile over the last couple of weeks with a strong trend of going up. What do you think, as a blockchain analyst, is the future?
Okay, so I'm not a financial advisor. I won't give any financial advices, right? So it seems like it was an obvious way thing that the prices will go up. There is a 4-year cycle for Bitcoin. I believe most of you have heard it already. It's called halving. And once in around 4 years, the reward for each new block, the new reward generating new Bitcoins, will get cut in half. Yeah, and the price of Bitcoin following these halvings increased quite significantly every time. So it's a good idea to watch it and expect the price to grow around the halving. I believe like right now everyone knows about the halving and the price go up earlier than before. But that's the halving is definitely a thing to know and watch out and incorporate into your trading strategy and whatsoever. It's something mathematically programmed. It's very, very, very stable thing to rely on in your trading. I guess better than most other metrics.
The most important thing is just to say again, this is not financial advice. This is just an AMA session in which we cover your users' questions and just get a conversation going. So that is an important thing to just restate again. But we will be releasing some blog articles in the next couple of weeks as we do prepare for the halving. We don't know exactly when it is, obviously, but we will be releasing some blog articles around that as well, because it is an important event in the general crypto space. But the most important thing is, and I think you agree with me, Denis, and regardless of what happens, you still need to keep your crypto in a very, very secure place, such as Tangem.
For sure.
It's a good line. I mean, everything needs to be in a safe and secure place, all of your assets. So we're just glad that we can develop products that are there for the future and for every kind of situation.
It's a good thing that I started working at Tangem before I started gathering my own crypto portfolio. I had no questions on where to store it. It just went to Tangem right away.
Good way.
And it appeared.
Good way. I think all too many of us have learned the hard way to protect your assets as best as possible. So glad to have all of you community members here, and we'll do our very best to improve our products for you time and time again. So I think that wraps up for today. It's been a long session. I think it's been very, very fun. We do have a lot of people still viewing. I'm so excited to have everybody here, especially if you made it to the very end. Thank you so much for your time and for your questions. It's been an intense and incredible experience to have you all here and get really to the core of things, I think. So, Denis, any closing statements for today?
Sure. I don't know. Thank you for the great session, and keep your crypto safe in a cold wallet. keep your cold wallets seedless, drink water, and happy bull run to you all, guys.
Very good advice. All right, I will take you away from here. And right, I will wrap up for today's session. Don't forget to follow us all on our social medias. Come join the Discord, be a part of the community. As you see, we are all about actually making sure that we have people involved day to day, and we make sure that we have this two-way communication street open. So thank you so much for your questions. And as I mentioned at the very beginning, all of these sessions do have a theme to them. So keep an eye out to see what the next theme for the next session will be. And as always, thank you so much. I will now put this wonderful little clip at the very end. For those who didn't see it last time, it's about just how durable Tangem Wallet is. And I'm sure that you will enjoy it. Until next time, everybody have a wonderful day. My name is Anna. I'll see you in the chats. Please join us, especially on Discord and Telegram and Reddit. And until next time, be well.